All right, we're flowing.
Okay,
Oh, busted
busted. Last minute
on the
text.
job.
Yes.
It's
Um,
all good.
you're right. Good morning.
How we doing? You and I actually haven't really spoken that much in the last few weeks. I know you've been a busy bee,
Yeah,
traveling all over the place.
it
My
is.
MBA started a couple of weeks ago, so my spare time has been taken up with some of that stuff.
I want to
Been
hear
busy, busy.
more. That's what I was thinking about last night. I feel like it's not on purpose because obviously I always have an easy time filling the time. I feel like there's this mystery of Palo that no one really truly knows what's happening. So I wanted to I wanted to dig in a little bit more. And if we're just gonna, well, we won't just roll and kick off. Let's do a little catch up. So tell me, how is it going? How's the MBA going? What are you getting your MBA for?
Well, so the MBA is beginning. It began 2 weeks ago. This first module they call Module Zero
Mm-hmm.
because it's a precursor. It's really just to get you used to working with your team,
Mm-hmm.
learning where to go to find assignments, get you in the pace of doing stuff. I found the pace pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm used to 60, 70, 80 hour work weeks. Like it doesn't bother me to have to do stuff on a Saturday morning. I know from what I've seen in some of the classes, there are folks who have a hard time with that, but for me, that's pretty easy. The only hard thing has been because we're in a team, and I'm actually very grateful. I've got a great team, all great
Mm-hmm.
people, really fun.
Mm,
I could see us all being friends for a while. The hard part is all of us trying to get our schedules together,
yeah.
and that's been a little challenging. But otherwise, apart from that, it's been great. Learned a few things, which is always nice. And it goes back to why I'm doing it in the first place. I have so much uh, osmosis absorbed information through experience owning a
Mm,
business, being entrepreneurial in other industries. I really wanted to formalize that because there's when I entered the corporate world, I did kind of fall in love with the structure of it, and you realize there's a method to the madness. If you need people to do what you want them to do in order
mhm,
to get to the goal, and there's a way of doing that in a little bit of a different way to if you're the business owner and it's your small business.
mhm.
If you're going to be a small part of a big machine, you've got to learn how to play the game, and that's pretty much why I'm doing this, just to formalize everything I've learned. And the eventual goal is in 10, 15, 20 years I want to be able to kind of teach that to people, whether that be at a company coaching other leaders or
Mhm.
having something on the side doing consulting or whatever. That's something I'm really passionate about, and need to know what you're talking about to do all of that.
Yeah, I love that. It also enables you to do what I believe the world is desperately in need of, right? There, corporate structure works for a reason. It also fails for a reason. And we
Yeah.
also see people, leaders, really, really hungry for something different.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean throw out what's been working. It's adding the human element. It's adding
Yeah.
the holistic element. And it's absolutely, I believe, the way that a lot of companies are being built or tweaked and will continue to. So the work that you're
Yeah.
doing will literally shape the way that if our children are in corporate and our grandchildren are in corporate, the structure will look very different than it looked 25 years ago, than it looked 10 years ago,
Yeah.
than it looked pre-COVID versus post-COVID. That might have been one of the biggest gifts that COVID gave to
Oh,
humanity,
definitely.
is
Definitely.
rehumanizing. I'm in a board meeting and there's a child and a dog walking behind me, right? Because this
Right.
is, and just rehumanizing. So humanizing the corporate structure.
Well, I mean, and that's the whole premise of, I didn't really start out this way when we started this podcast, but 80 something episodes later, the tagline's human leadership.
Yeah. Mm,
I really, that's something I'm really, really passionate. When I talk about it, I get very energized. Like it shouldn't be how you are at work should not be different to how you are at home. And I think I've seen it with people, and I know I can be that way too. I show up differently in work environment to home environment, but you should be the same person across both.
well, that, how, I'm just checking cameras. How many times did we hear, especially in our generations, of like, leave it at the door, right? You leave
Yeah,
it at the door. You don't bring this into work. And we are we repeat these things and we are told these stupid things. It doesn't mean you get to walk into work and, be a crying mess and not do what you need to do. Maybe that's a mental health day, but
Yeah.
we things are shifting. So I see what you're doing with your MBA in parallel to stuff that I'm doing, where things that were and we are doing things that were more woo woo and more
Mhm.
oh, that's not science based, taking the science of it and really regurgitating it back out to the public and to human beings so that they really understand this is not some magical fairy dust. This is real physiological connections, scientifically based with our human hardware, with our systems, and it absolutely impacts everything that we're doing, how we're showing up in a corporate structure,
Mhm.
how we're showing up at home, how we're showing up in our own small businesses. Um, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
and I envision a world where in the near future, it's not weird to be like, "Hey, have you seen Matt? Oh, he's outside doing some somatic release."
right. Yes.
Or, "Hey, where's Jen? Oh, she's doing some breathing." Like that's not a
In
what do
the
you mean?
somatic release room.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let's not do the breath room because I could get a bit stinky in the mornings or after lunch. But yeah, like we should be normalizing that. It should be
Yes.
normal to like yesterday morning. I was in the office and going in more now because where I'm at in my career there, I want to be around more to just
Mhm.
be part of the hustle and bustle. But it was seven. I got there really early. It was like 7:25, 7:30. I made my coffee in my office. I have a little coffee station. You know
Of
me. I
course
have to
you
bring
do.
my own coffee, all of that. But
Danger station.
I went and stood outside in the sun, had my coffee, checked
Mm.
some emails, sent a few out. But yeah, I wouldn't say people were giving me weird looks when they were walking in, but it was a bit like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? But it should be normal to, oh yeah, going outside to get some sun for 5 minutes.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely. Wanna come with me? Wanna
Right.
try it? I've been having a lot of conversations with the real estate team around silent walks.
Hmm.
And a couple of the agents that have really dug into it, even though they're all at different kind of stages and levels of it. Like I'm starting to get text messages back like today was really, real estate is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart.
No.
And one of the agents who I'm coaching, lost a deal, had a long-term client actually start working with a different agent other than
Oh,
him.
oh,
Yeah, like there was a couple more things and I said, how are you feeling inside? And he's like, well, I'd like 1 to 2 shots of tequila, but I took 3 walks today. And he was walking into a household with 3 kiddos and 1 on the way,
hmm,
um, and a wife at home, so he couldn't just walk in and,
yeah,
decompress for the night, like, he had to walk in as dad and partner. So, he's like, "Well, I still keep my earbuds in, right?" But he's doing the silent walks, he's even started taking the kids on silent walks, which are not silent, but he's like,
yeah,
hearing the birds really helps. So it's these little tools, like a shit show of a day of fighting fires all day long, and it's not about not having shifts in your energy with that, it's about, do you have the capacity to hold those things, work through those things, and still end up in a regulated space
yeah,
when you need to, and, um, something so simple, 15
yeah. And I
minutes.
think people talk a lot about resilience, right? And
Mhm,
there's a misconception that that means you just don't get stressed.
mm,
No, you get stressed, but you absorb it and you handle it well. How much do you bend instead of
mhm.
breaking?
Yes.
That's really what resilience is, and
Yeah.
tools like that is something that really helps. And I do want to do a little PSA on that subject because I fell foul to this. Um, and I appreciate that a lot of our listeners are real estate agents already, so this doesn't really they can relate to it, but it's not really going to affect them in the way I'm hoping the audience will be affected by it. doing something like that to a real estate agent is not the same as doing it to a personal trainer or to a massage therapist or whoever does your nails or your hair. Those people get paid for the service at the time.
Mm,
When you've been working for a long time with someone as a real
mhm,
estate agent, they're not getting paid. They get
mhm.
paid when there's a closing. And I have a lot of empathy because I live the life, but I see it and I know how stressful it is for people in the field now. When you do all this work and then you get nothing back from it.
Yeah.
And as much as it's great to help people, and I did a lot of free advising when I was an agent, which was probably stupid of me. I should have just said, talk to your agent. But it's, I implore people to think about that when they're working with realtors, because people have this impression that, oh, everyone makes a ton of money in real estate. But yeah, you can make a lot of money, but only when that contract's signed and the deal was done.
And I think NAR just released, it was something like, I want to say close to 70% of licensed realtors had not closed one deal so
Yeah.
far in
I
its
was one of those
August.
numbers a few years back. Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of misconceptions. And it sucks when nothing closes, but it's double cutting when that person goes and works with someone else,
Yeah.
right? And it's not because you didn't do something. It might be, maybe you weren't up their butts, right? You didn't wanna bother them, you didn't wanna
Mm.
do XYZ, but often it's like, "Oh, we walked into an open house," and people don't understand, and that agent was like, "Oh my gosh, there's multiple offers, and if you wanna write an offer, we should do that."
Yeah.
Um, so we could talk for hours on realtors, um, but regardless, these little shifts, these little tools that you just have to have some faith and try them out. It's not
Yeah.
about taking away all the crazy crap that happens. It is about what you said. It's about your ability to increase your capacity. That's resilience, increasing your capacity and your container to hold everything that your day in life requires. And then be able to move on, let stuff
Yeah.
go, reframe things. And so, it's nervous system, it's somatic release, but as I'm learning more and more, I'm really learning how it's about not just regulating your nervous system, it's the expansion of your container of what you can
Yeah.
hold. So, it's pretty cool. I'm like you, right? You and I are constant learners. Started in with my polyvagal theory, and we have group stuff, and then a lot of self-paced, but we have pods.
Hmm.
And I was in my pod for the first time. We've got people in from Germany, Paris, Italy, Spain. They're all like English as second language. I'm like, these people are talented. And
Yeah.
from therapists to, licensed psychotherapists to coaches to people that just, experienced a lot of trauma in their life and are working to understand themselves better
Yeah.
and then create something in the world from that. Um, Really super different. Oh, there's the coffee order.
Special delivery.
Congratulations.
Oh, feels good.
Um, Starting in a room of people that there's an extreme awareness about environment.
Yeah.
The way that those pods and those classes start is way different than, any other room I've been in.
Yeah.
Um, and then people really just cutting through the shit immediately and being like, I am super nervous to even speak in front of this group right now. Whereas most of the time we would hold that in,
Yeah.
like everyone's just bringing it. So it's interesting. I would say it's eye opening, but it's not. It's just cool to see it so up front, brought up to the surface versus people trying to stuff stuff down and pretend.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm so happy you're going down this road because
Thank you.
it's something I've really been leaning into recently is the sense of community and being around
Mm,
people who are in similar places to you, similar journeys.
yeah.
Because I've kind of found myself feeling a little lost in a lot of ways because it's a bit of a dichotomy, whereas you can feel like you're special, that you're unique, that you've got gifts that you want to give to the world,
Mhm.
but then you're not. that special, that you're not that unique. There are a lot of other people like you. We all have our little different flavors, and
Yes.
it's finding those groups where you're around those people, because it feels lonely otherwise.
Yeah.
And both of us have been in careers that can be very lonely, as we were just talking about. You can
Mm-hmm.
get screwed over very easily and have no one to turn to. So, number one, I've for years been trying to find a church that I converted to Catholicism a few years back, but it never sat right with me. I just the formality of it all, and it was the same with me growing up in the Church of England. That I love going to church, but it just sometimes like, we're supposed to be celebrating here. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
I don't come out feeling good afterwards. I just kind of feel like I was checking a box.
Mm.
At this church up the street the whole time. Mason's been going to church camp there, Bible camp, for 3 years running. I finally said, let's give that a go. Straight away, they have a band, worship music for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was, you know, the services I've been to have all been different in terms of the layout and when things have been done, and the sermons have been great. Very contemporary, very applicable to today's life, and I just I feel, I look forward to going, and I just
Love
feel
that.
like my energy is different because I've found a community. And there's a men's barbecue next week I'm going to go to. It's been great. I've been trying to recreate create a community around health. Right, I have my second walk is next, well, when this comes out, it'll be the Saturday after, it'll be the coming Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to keep growing and expanding that, and then going to the MBA. We've been in these pods too, and it's been great just hearing everybody's experiences and where they've come from, and we're all doing it for different reasons, but at the same time it's really the same reason.
Yeah.
And just being around people who want to grow, right? Like, that's what we're all here to do. But last night there was an exercise that, it was, a few of us were kind of like, oh, with some of the exercises last night. You go into breakout rooms, not
Yeah.
with your team, but just whoever's in the
Yes.
class. But the point was, you're supposed to tell a story, learn how to tell stories properly in order to present, right? So it follows a typical rom-com or a movie arc, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
you have some good fortune, then you have some bad fortune, and then the arc goes back up. You're back in good fortune, and we all had to tell a story about our lives like that. I didn't go through the divorce one because that would have, that really is a good movie. But I talked about my career, and then everybody else starts opening up and telling their stories, and you're like, wow,
Mm.
we've all gone through this shit. We just don't talk about it, because all we talk about, we see on LinkedIn, is how great everybody's doing. You don't hear about the down part.
Yeah.
And I think, talking about normalizing things, we need to normalize that. Let's
Yeah.
normalize the journey.
Recently I've been a little bit more vulnerable. I did post something, ooh, it's still emotionally charged for me. That a chiropractor at this health conference that I was at, just went right into my head, with some questions. I wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah.
And it really, thank God, I was kind of wrapping up the day, and it was a good thing, but it sent me back to my room, and I just really just cried.
Oh, wow. Well, and while
So,
you collect
yeah,
yourself, I think that demonstrates there how much we think we've let things go, but how, and chiropractors know that, right? Because
yeah,
they know that they can move a bone, and all of a sudden all this tension's gone. I
yeah.
know of people who laugh hysterically when they get readjusted, because they've been holding all of this tension, and now all
Yeah,
of a sudden it's gone, and that's their way of getting it out.
yeah.
But please continue.
Well, and that was it. It was like, no matter the amount of healing that I've done and will continue to do, there's these moments that like bring you to reality of like you're still a little more fucked up than you think you are, but you're not
Yeah,
really fucked up. You're not broken. So it's like I get all of those things, but it was just when you think you're doing so well, then you think you're holding it all together. And my body was really just in full fight or flight. And the
yeah.
moment he touched me, like it was, and then questions. And so I was not the only one coming off his table with tears. And there was actually a huge church group there that was aside from all of the medical professionals that were there because
Oh,
their
cool.
pastor was speaking. So it was, we'll talk about it more, but I did end up shooting a little bit of video, which you think is kind of strange. This is how our brains think. My brain thinks like, oh, I'm having a breakdown moment. Maybe I should video myself so I can share this. But I knew it was a powerful moment. And it's great to post the beach photos
Mhm.
and all of that, but I decided just to post a little bit of it with what was in my heart. And some people were like messaging me like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I didn't want to alarm people. It wasn't the point of why I put that out, but leaders go first. So if
Yeah.
me putting myself out there in a little bit of a vulnerable with an explanation, like if people had read kind of, it would have pulled it together. And I
Yeah.
so appreciate people's concern. But there is a way to start to normalize that, right? Through social media, where
Yeah.
you don't have to throw up your whole story on everyone. But I believe if you're a leader and as a leader, you believe that we need to normalize more of this human experience in a healthy way, in a way that is cathartic for ourselves, and in a way that allows a path for other people to open the door, whether they post about it or they just connect with you and saying, "Hey, yeah, I had someone like, I get it." And we didn't need to go into a therapy session or a coaching session. It was just a connection. So, um, if you believe what you
Mhm.
and I are saying is important to normalize humanity, then find where you can start to do that in your life and to let it radiate out
Yeah.
from just our own belief.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. We're a month or so out from my mum's passing, and
Mm,
people are always saying, "Are you okay? Like, how are you?" And when I got to therapy last week, she was like, "Okay, so how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm actually good."
mhm,
Like, of course, I actually had my first dream about her last night, funny enough. So I woke up a
mm,
little sad, but
mm,
it was a weird dream though. Um, but I wish you could bottle up gratitude, like genuine gratitude,
mm,
because I don't think people really understand what that means. Because it's not just saying, "Oh, I'm so." It's genuinely like everything you can reframe to be grateful for. Like
mhm,
I find it very hard to feel sad about my mom because
mm,
I'm like I'm happy. I think about her. I'm like I'm so grateful I had those years,
mm.
and that was what was really nice about her service. I don't think I talked about this
Not
last
yet.
episode, right?
No,
No,
we've talked about talking about it, but
yeah.
yeah.
The service was really nice, and it was what I really liked about it was a lot of her childhood friends came, and then growing up we had like our neighborhood friends. They all came. It was really nice to catch up with a lot of them. I hadn't seen them in 20 years, a
In
lot, and
England.
in England,
Yes.
and they hadn't seen her in the bad years, right? So all of their memories of her were her as she was, and it was just really nice. It kind of unlocked a bit of that in my brain because it's been very difficult to remember that,
Mhm,
seeing the present, the deterioration. It was just so nice to hear that. Like, you're like, wow, my mom was a fucking badass, man. She was such a like you forget about that because you're living in this horrible, horrible moment. So it was really nice to remember that, and it just added to the gratitude of enjoying what you had, being grateful for the experience that got you to where you are, and then really holding on to what you have now.
yeah. Powerful,
Very,
powerful. It's hard to be in gratitude and be in anything else like negative. It's fairly hard to be in anger or and it's also okay for there to be an and. I am grateful and I am sad, right? And we
yeah,
talk about joy and grief often walking hand in hand. Slowing down enough to recognize it and allowing yourself to one experience that. And I will say this, especially around death and grief and loss. Everyone has their cultural ways of handling it. Everyone has their familial ways of handling it, and then their own personal ways of handling it. Um, and I remember after um, I have ears close, so
uh-huh.
after the loss, you and I know what we're
Yeah,
talking about. And I went to Paris in Italy with one of my best girlfriends, Kristen. And she happened to already be going, and I tagged along. And there was a whole bunch of, as I'm like a mess on the floor, like, and she's like, "You should come with me." And I'm like, "I can't do that. How can I do that?" And then I was like, "Here's my credit card. Just book me." Um, and I was posting while I was there, and I got 2 messages, 1 message and then one when I was back. Well, it didn't really look good. Basically, what they were saying was that this happened, and then you're, off in Europe enjoying your life. And I'm like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
I am literally pulling myself together, figuring out what the rest of my life, looks like, dealing with some significant traumas. And thank God I didn't have that in my brain, that I was worried about what people might
Yeah.
think about it. But that's very real. So if you are going through trauma, repair, grief, right, which is not linear, if you can give yourself the gift of letting go of what other people are going to perceive your process as, that's big.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, if you're close to someone who is going through a grief process, whether it's day 1 or day 1,000, looking at where you might be judging them or giving them advice that is really based off of some potentially unhealthy ways to process grief
Yeah.
that was built into you through a lifetime
Mhm.
of living. Because we all have it and we all carry it, and we're all on this journey until the day that we are no longer breathing,
Yeah.
going through this beautiful, chaotic, traumatic
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And I don't like to push faith on people, but something actually came up in one of the sermons a few weeks back, but it's something I really believe in. Of if you understand that it's not your job to judge people, it's not your job to change people. That's a higher power. Whatever you want to believe. In my case, I believe in a God and Jesus Christ. That's their job.
Mm,
It's not my job to judge how you behave, how you deal with something. And then when you understand that, you're not as stressed because you're not holding on to this. Oh, I wish, or scrolling through socials and like, oh, what's she doing? She just lost someone. Why is she celebrating? Why is she having a good time?
mm,
Good for
mhm,
her. That's what she wants to do right now. That's how she's dealing with whatever she's going through. And
mm,
side tangent, you don't know what people are going through. You're seeing all this, and I've had inside looks of, I understand what someone's going through, and then I'm seeing their public presentation on social media. I'm like, all right, that doesn't jive, but
yeah,
that's just what they're doing to fulfill themselves right now. But the minute you take that job away from yourself, it's a
mm,
lot happier place to be. And then on the flip side, you stop worrying so much about what other people think, because often we project what what we're doing to other people. It's like,
yeah,
if I don't judge you, I'm not going to worry about someone judging me, because it's just not in my world now. I don't judge people.
yeah. And you're allowed to have, hey, I want to have this person in my environment based off of how they live their life, or hey, I don't
Yeah.
really want to have this person in my environment. But this is a big world. They can go off and do their own thing. I In some of my most hmm, kind of trauma heightened focuses moments, it's always tends to be like when I'm out in public. And I always thought, like, if we all had t-shirts, or even like a t-shirt that had like a ticker tape going across it with like what we were really dealing with in that moment, or what we
Yeah.
had just experienced. And I just have this, like, if they showed a graphic of 5 people standing at the produce aisle in a grocery store, with each one of them like the heavy load that they were carrying, or what just happened before they walked in there, like, man, like, we would, I think, treat each other so differently.
Yeah.
Um, so
1,000,000%.
yeah.
And
All
and
right.
a lot of people carry things so well. They're so resilient that
Mm,
it's kind of just baked into who they are. And I'll use an example from my own life, right? A lot of people forget that I have a son who has autism. Like, it's not just easy
mm,
to go to places and do stuff. Like, it's
yeah,
very stressful for us. But then I've had comments from people for like, oh, you guys need to go out more. You and Amy need to go on more dates.
right,
We'd love to,
right.
but it's very difficult to find a babysitter that can actually keep up with him and things
Yes.
like that. But again, because we're not feeling sorry for ourselves all the time and moping around and complaining, people
Mm-hmm.
forget that.
Right.
So you have to, even if you know you're not judging people, sometimes you have to remind yourself, oh yeah, fuck, I forgot, like her dad just died. I should lay off on this or whatever. Just because they seem
Right.
okay, maybe they got stuff that's
Right.
going on, or what, you know what I mean?
Most people that seem okay, myself included, as case in point with this chiropractor who
Mhm.
like literally went like boop and then asked me a question. Um, most people that seem really okay, if you actually walked up and just hugged them or walked up and said, like, do you need to take a deep breath? Or like, what do you need right now?
Yeah,
That little tiny little sliver of like kindness, or there's a potential hope that maybe you don't have to carry all of this yourself and there's someone standing in front of you asking you what you need. um it's like instant breakdown.
yeah,
And maybe breakdown's not the right word, but it's
mm,
it's instant, like, yeah. And some people will carry things for their entire life.
yeah.
um but I don't want to do that. Like, I want to
No.
integrate where it can be
Mm.
integrated. I want to transform, um, where transformation will support me in moving forward, and it's all part of our fabric. You don't ever It's never fully gone. It's just transformed.
Yeah.
And yeah, all
Well, and so
right.
much of that comes from environment. And I
Mm,
think people need to really ask themselves, am I in an environment where I'm okay to talk about my problems?
mhm.
Because there are certain friendships I have where it's just not the energy is not in the way that I would do that. You know,
Yeah.
we'll talk about sports or whatever it is. But when it comes to certain, talking about feelings and emotions and situations, if you're not in an environment where you're comfortable sharing that, find another environment.
Yes.
There's
A million
nothing wrong with
times.
that.
Well, and that's the responsibility, and that really starts to delve into polyvagal theory. um and our nervous system and our whole body really is aligned to keep us safe. And so with polyvagal theory, especially around trauma, your your subconscious, and I'm going to use non-scientific words, what you're not even aware of is constantly scanning the environment, the people. Is this safe? Are they
Yeah.
safe? Is that dog safe? I'm looking at that person's eyes. Is this person safe? What's going on in this environment? What are the sounds? Right. And so, whether it's truly safe or unsafe, or we are just deeming it as safe or unsafe because of the cues that we have gotten. Um, like, my dad is an alcoholic, right? And I knew one of the signs that would most likely lead to an issue was him walking with his hands behind his back. So now, as a very normal thing, when someone is walking with their hands behind their back, I have to realize I'm being triggered because I see that, because
Hmm.
my body is already going into, this is not safe. That person's completely safe. So that recognition of, oh, okay, interesting, getting curious,
Yeah.
something's going on right now. Am I really not safe in this moment, or am I safe? And what is it that's telling me this? And there are times when things aren't safe. That's what's good. This is what keeps us alive. But this is constantly happening in our bodies all of the time. So
Yeah.
you must find safe environments, and then you must look at the environments that you're in and also really have an honest feedback with yourself of, am I feeling unsafe right now because I really am unsafe? Or is there something that's happening that's making me feel my
Right.
body want to go into shutdown, numbness, fight or flight? Um, and that is a scary place for a lot of people to be willing to go down, especially if it feels alone. And that's why we always go back to, none of this is meant to be done alone.
No.
This is work you have to do on yourself, with yourself, but in conjunction with other healthy relationships, healthy environments,
Yeah.
supportive environments. And the non-healthy and the non-supportive environments will heighten, like, ooh, okay, need to do some work here, and this is not the place for me to do it. Um,
Yeah, but it's very easy to fall into that trap though of,
mm,
they say misery loves company.
mhm,
Falling into the trap of, oh, well, this person, I can relate to them
Yeah.
but then all the two of you do is complain, and you just
Right.
drag yourselves further down away from that neutral
Yes.
place.
And
So yeah,
actually create neural pathways of complaint in your
yes,
body, and just to see how the body physiologically responds, everything from the
mm,
muscles in our ears, our middle ear muscles, which actually will shift if we're feeling that we're in danger, looking for lower toned sounds like animal growling,
right,
or deep booming voices. It's just wild, all the stuff that's happening that we think we have control over, or that's not, impacting us. It's all impacting us. So
yeah.
learning about it, understanding how our bodies work.
And I think being I keep coming back to the self awareness, and there are some things that we do intuitively. Like if we're talking to a baby, we take the
Mhm,
deep out of our voice, right?
mhm,
But we don't think. And the GM of our company, I love it when he comes in the morning. He walks through and says hi to everybody, and I've picked up on the fact and I don't know if he's doing it deliberately or not, but he takes the deep out of his voice. His
mhm,
voice is a bit of a higher pitch when he's saying hi to everybody.
mhm.
But I just feel like that instantly calms people, right?
Yes.
They're not like, oh, the shit, the boss is walking through. Better
Yep.
sit up, right? It's no, he's just coming to say hi, and I think there are certain things just like that that we'll do instinctively, but then we should actually be thinking about that because
Yes.
maybe I'm not making this person feel safe because just the tone of my voice.
Yeah. Or I'm walking and I'm above and you're sitting at your desk and I walk by, I'm like, "Hi," instead
Yeah,
of "Good morning," right? Or
yeah,
"Good morning." It it just all impacts, and you're literally shaping the day for your people around you
yeah,
in either positive or negative. Oh, interesting conversation.
yes.
We'll keep
Well,
exploring.
I love that our paths are really kind of. I think there's so much we can do together. You with the polyvagal stuff, and then me on the other side of it with some other neuroscience stuff. You know, the
Mhm,
Dr. Amen things and
mhm.
general health. I think it's also intertwined, and we need to stop treating ourselves as these individual systems and organisms within
Yeah.
us. We're one. If we can tie it all together, I think it's going to be really powerful for people.
And we need to start understanding and accepting and taking responsibility for, we hear this, like, take responsibility for your own health, right? Ask your doctor questions. Maybe you don't just jump into the surgery, but
Hmm.
we need to stop just letting ourselves off the hook and thinking our body is such a mystery. Like, it's, yes, there are still things that are mysteries, but there's so much information, there's so much knowledge that makes so much sense. We didn't even
Hmm.
talk about freaking amino acids, which I wanted to talk about. We'll do it next pod.
Next time.
Um, there's we are not that much of a mystery. Like you said, like, we feel
Hmm.
so individualistic because we are individuals, but we're so similar in so many ways. When I do disc work, DISC, and the combinations of it, and I meet with dramatically different forward facing people, but we start doing that work, and we all fall into categories of our risk tolerance, how fast or slow we like to move, how many questions we like to ask, how we gather information, and they look totally opposite, but the goals are the same.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
And one final point on that,
yeah,
just what is on my mind, and I know I'll forget to say it. You were saying we've got to take accountability for our health. So much has been taken away from us because we've given the power to the governments, to the industries, and they're making bad decisions for you.
yeah,
One little tidbit that I've always found fascinating: people think that church bells ring because it's telling you what the time is.
mm,
In actuality, those bells, you look at the frequencies that they're putting out, it's
mm,
actually to kind of re-energize everybody and
mm,
calm everybody's nervous systems.
mm.
Why do you think there was a law passed a while back where they started taking the bells away?
Oh my gosh,
Because a population that's dysregulated and all, not harmonized, very
yeah,
easy to control.
kept in fear,
So we
absolutely.
have to. Can you hear that fire alarm?
I sure
Smoke
do.
alarm?
Yep.
Yeah, someone's smoking the bacon. But yeah, so just we have to start taking account. We have to take that power back. No one's coming to save you. No one in the government, no politician, no influencer. No one's coming to save you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it yourself. There's nothing stopping you going for a walk outside
Yep.
in the silence, in the sun.
Yep.
I'm going to go and do it after this. In fact,
Yep.
nothing stopping you.
Nope. Just you.
Yeah.
And then take somebody with you. And if nobody wants to go, there's go anyway.
Yeah. Or get a dog.
Exactly. All right, friends. Thank you for joining us today. It was great to catch up. And until next time, bye for now.